Hello friends, it's a bit of a cloudy old day here in Spain today, and I decided that I would do some artwork indoors. And I've had great response recently from a lot of people who follow me online who have seen my artwork and really like it. And I've been really happy to do lots of portraits for people of their dogs, cats, horses, wives, husbands. And just occasionally you get the odd one which is worthy of a story. Well, I got a very nice message from a lady called Rue. I've got it on my phone here. And essentially what she says is, "Dear Jonathan, I don't know if this is something you can help me with. I'm wheelchair disabled and I have a beautiful canine partner." And she's had assistance dogs for many, many years. Her name's Ruth Rice. She goes to the Riding for the Disabled. But what she actually really wanted me to do was a portrait of her beautiful dog, who they named Duchess, funnily enough. One of my falcons is called Duchess, but her real name is Delia. And this beautiful dog, I have to say, I'll show you in a second just how gorgeous she is. Sadly no longer with us, but she lived to be 12 and a half years old, and this lady had her for 10 years. And she literally did everything for Ruth, including helping her get dressed, taking the washing out the washing machine, making sure she was safe. Ruth herself suffers from an autoimmune disease, which she's had since the late 80s. And she's kind of wheelchair bound. She can't get around outside unless she's in a wheelchair. She also is almost completely deaf, struggles to talk, and really needs a lot of help. And she's relied on this beautiful dog, Delia, for 10 years. And literally the dog did everything for her. It's a very, very special dog. And as I'm doing the painting of her today, I'll tell you some of the stories about her. But I'll just quickly show you a photograph, because I have to say she was the most beautiful dog. I don't know if you can see that. It's on my iPad and there's a bit of a reflection. Now she is a cross, and lots of people would say, "Oh, has it got spaniel in it? What kind of dog is it?" Well, actually it was a retriever cross golden Labrador cross poodle. Okay, so Labradoodle retriever doodle cross. And you can see she's black, but absolutely beautiful face, a really, really gorgeous dog. And anyway, she was a best friend to this lady Ruth for 10 years. So I'm going to get on with doing a painting of her, and they've already told me that they would like to get some prints of the painting. So I'm going to do the original, and I decided to do this painting on this really lovely paper which I got from the art shop. It's got like a nice texture to it. So rather than doing it on canvas today, I'm going to be doing it with acrylic paint on paper, and that means it's going to be much easier to copy, to get copies done, you know, because they can scan it. When it's on canvas it's not quite so easy because there's a grain, but with this particular type of paper they can get it absolutely perfect. So as I'm doing the painting, I'll talk you through it and you can see how I've done it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So we'll get started. So I always start off when it's a portrait of a dog or perhaps a cat, because they've got you know, especially if it's just looking straight on, they've got two eyes, nose, mouth. To get everything in proportion, I always start off by doing a cross like that to begin with, and then I draw the circles. Now I've got the photograph just down in out of camera shot, but it's to my left so I can see it. So I'm going to just roughly sketch out the dog's shape of its face. So it's basically going to start off with a circle like so, and then the next bit I'm going to do, which is the muzzle part here, so that's going to be kind of about there, like so. And then of course I'm going to put the ears, so the ears are going to go, and it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage, I'm just getting a rough outline. And then another larger circle for the body. So okay, we've got pretty much the basic shape of what the dog's going to be like. So now I've got to this stage, I can rub out, using this eraser, the lines that aren't important anymore. So remember the cross that we did to begin with, so I can just get rid of that now. Okay, and we're left with basically the dog's face. So I'm just going to use my artistic brain to fill in the little gaps that my brain sees, and it's really hard to explain it to people if they don't know how to do this, because what people don't realise is a drawing is a representation of something that you see. It's not what you see. It's like an illusion, which is what I said in my last video when I did a painting. So there's little bits that make it look or trick your brain to think that it's seeing something that it actually isn't. I'll just do that now. Okay, so we've got a pretty good picture of the dog. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the background paint in before we actually start painting the dog. While I'm actually doing this part of the painting, which does take a bit of time, I thought I would tell you a couple of little stories about this beautiful dog Delia and some of the amazing things that she's done in her life. Right, now I know at the moment this looks like an absolute mess, but what happens now, and this is kind of almost a magic trick, is you get white. I'm going to just put a little bit of white there. Oops, daisy, just dropping some paint. And I'm going to do little circles of white round and about, like that. And then I use a good old, this is actually brush, you know, for brushing the garden. But now just watch how this makes it completely change. Ready? One example of how intuitive and sensitive Delia was when they went out to a coffee shop, and she went and sat next to a lady who she wouldn't leave alone, and it turns out it was this lady's first time out, having had a terrible breakdown, and the dog picked up on it. Okay, so I've got that far with it, and what you may have just noticed I did is I got some little bits of the blue. I'll show you here. I've got some of this very pale blue here, and I just dabbed it on all round and about. And then you've got to have a dry brush for this bit, so let's clean my brush off, and then I'm going to go round in circles like this. Just do a bit more on this side here. You can see how that just... Okay, so that's basically the background done. Now what I'm going to do, I can just about see the pencil line underneath that we started off with. I can just see it underneath the paint. So using a fairly big brush and quite dry, I'm going to use some of this black paint here, which I've got on the board, a little bit of black. And I'm not putting any water on this at all, so it's pretty neat as it is. And I'm just going to use my sort of artistic brain to fill in the dark bits, so I've got a guide of where the dog's face is going and what it looks like. So this again is pretty loose and it's dry paint. You'll see what I mean. Not only did Delia have an amazing connection with Ruth, but she also had a connection with a horse called Starsky, who they'd met at the Riding for the Disabled. And so the dog and the horse had a connection, and the horse picked up on the fact that the dog was there to look after Ruth. And so therefore, if they went out, the dog would tell the horse to stop if there was a problem. So you can see that the face is already starting to take shape. But now I've got to just put in the colour of the eyes. So I've just mixed up a little bit of yellow and a bit of brown with some white, and I'm just going to get the basic eye colour in there. So I've got a guide. And now I'm just going to put a bit more detail using the black, just to get the corners of the eye shape. Well, it was really important to get the eyes right on this dog because she had beautiful eyes. And then a little bit of blue, because this photograph was obviously taken on a sunny day, so I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny little bit of blue over the top. And then I'm going to use this lovely white to get the reflection, the sparkle in there. You can see now that it's actually starting to take a bit of shape. Now, Ruth told me something quite interesting. Apparently, Delia was the first dog ever to learn how to pull knickers up. Right, so we've got to the stage now where I'm ready to put some highlights on there. So, believe it or not, even though this is a black dog, there's actually quite a lot of blue in the colour of the coat. And again, it's the reflection of the sky. So I'm going to use, put my specs on. You can see I've got quite a lot of blue on my palette. and quite a lot of white as well, so I get that mixture, white and blue. And I'm going to just get on with the highlights now, which will really make the whole thing jump off the page. You'll see what I mean. I'm just putting a little bit of brown, a little bit of light brown in there. And you'll see how this, it really makes it look so realistic. It's just a kind of light, a bit of white in there and a bit of just brown, normal brown colour. And again, I'm using very light sort of flicking motions, and it really brings the colour of the dog out. You'll see what I mean. I'm not very good at explaining it, but I know how to do it. And now I've obviously got to put in the detail on the nose, because at the moment it hasn't got a nose. How does your dog smell? It's got no nose. Something like that. Now I've just remembered it's my dog's got no nose. How's it smell? Bloody awful. Now just a little bit of white because they've always got wet noses, haven't they? I've just realised that I haven't put the collar on the dog, and I also haven't put the little vest that they wear with canine partners written on it. So I'm going to have to do that now. So I've mixed up a bit of blue and a bit of red and got this lovely, I don't even know what colour that is, but it's the same colour as the collar. So I'll just try and do this freehand. Well, sadly, Ruth and her husband Gary lost lovely Delia in October last year, but they now have another beautiful dog called Truffle, and she too is a canine partner. And of course, I've got to write canine partners on there as well. Well, something I find absolutely amazing is that Truffle, like Delia before her, has learnt how to do all her tasks by taking sign language commands. So it's not even done with the voice, it's all done by sign. They really are incredible dogs. Well, I've really enjoyed doing this painting because it's got such a great story behind it. Right, well, that's just about finished, I've got to say. I'm really happy with that. It's taken me about just short of 2 hours from when I started to finishing it, but I'm really thrilled, really delighted with it. So if you've got a dog, a cat, a horse, or a special animal, and especially if it's got a nice story behind it and you'd like me to paint it, then you can contact me either by sending me an email through my website, Jonathan Marshall Shows, or a private message through Facebook, or however you want to get hold of me, and I can do a portrait of your animal, and I can also do a little video and tell the story, because as we all know, that our animal friends are probably our best friends. I really hope that the lady that I've done this for is delighted with it. I'm pretty chuffed. All I've got to do now is sign it and frame it. I look forward to doing another one pretty soon.